let's jump into session 2. So you remember that we had a little cute saying for every week, and last week's was, life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to experience. And as a 16-year-old girl added, and that involves everything between heaven and earth. So do you remember what we talked about? What we worked with last session 2 weeks ago? It has been some time, but please feel free. Just internal and external pain, exactly. That there seems to be a difference in how we can handle them. So we talked about rules for the inner world, what's happening within our ears, and rules that apply to the outer world. And the outer world, problem solving works great, and what is it that I don't want? Get rid of it. And when we try the same strategy on our inner world, it sort of backfires sometimes. So when we don't want it, we're sort of stuck with it. So it seems to be different kind of rules. Perfect, thank you. More? Yeah, great.
What is stress and some different ways to deal with stress?
Perfect. So what is stress? What's happening in the body when we get stressed? We talked about the fight, flight response and sympathicus response, and how it was adaptive, evolutionary, to react fast to danger, because then we could fight or flight and we could spread our genes. So we actually been selected over 100,000 of years to be really nervous and react quick to danger. So we're like the evolutionary creme de la creme when it comes to cranky, nervous, scared people. And also brave, because you need to be brave as well. So that's cool. Thank you. Yeah, Mary?
When you introduced the 5 animal exercise, I thought I might do it like before I went to bed, when I got up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I found that I do it spontaneously throughout the day.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm just used to it now. And so I found myself doing it when I was frustrated standing in line at the store. And to me it just seemed natural, but it got kind of a lot of attention.
That's perfect. That's perfect. The 5 animals. So the 5 animals is a Qigong exercise that we did last time. Oh, funny. I'm glad you like that.
I just explained. I said it's a stress reducer. It helps me feel better.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I also think it's a nice way to just help you land in the. Yeah. It's close to Tai Chi, and I saw that Doug made it to Tai Chi way yesterday. Great. Thanks. What else did we do on session 1?
Different ways to treat stress with change
Yeah.
versus acceptance.
Yeah, exactly. So in some cases it's really good to make changes, and there will be stress in our lives that is unavoidable, that we might be good to find ways to deal with the stress that's unavoidable in life. Yeah, great, thanks. Anything else we did last time? Yeah, Tuna?
Well, so much of the stress that we do experience, is never ending.
Yeah.
So there's no opportunity to recover
Oh, yeah.
from it and begin fresh.
Yeah.
That it's continuous.
Perfect. So that's really important. So we talked about that, like when we were faced with threats like a brown bear, it was really clear when the threat was over. And the problem with stress is not stress, but lack of restoration. So when the threat was over, the brown bear was gone, we sat down, restoration. And we also talked about how language can start the actual physical fight-flight response, and it's not so clear when this threat is over, because this can go on all the time. So we sort of need to find clever and effective ways to get restoration from the stress that our thinking elicits. Yeah, perfect, Tuna, thanks. Anything else?
Mindfulness and present moment.
Mindfulness and present moment, and that beautifully laps on to what we just were talking about, because usually our mind is just all over the place. So actively training us to take us back to the here and now is one way to get relief from the stress that otherwise could start just automatically from us getting in contact with things we should do, haven't done, failures in the past, and so on.
We're also in the moment that you're in.
Oh yeah.
We're stuck walking here this morning, my knee is acting up.
Yeah.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
My mind is like, oh my God, am I going to make it? And
Yeah.
all of a sudden I said, tree.
Yeah.
Just back in the present moment.
Yeah.
Rather walking again. Then a cat showed up.
Yeah, yeah.
It turned out very nice.
No, that's
But
perfect.
in the middle of your stress, you
Yeah.
can
Oh yeah.
come to the present moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And be free.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the beauty of it, because you can, in any moment, just bring yourself to the present moment and rest in the present moment. Or sometimes the present moment is not so pleasant, but then you could rest in that as well. I usually do that, like I bike 1 hour back and forth to work every day in a nice pace, but because that's the place where my mind can sort of worrying when I'm going to work, all the things I haven't done, oh, I should remember this, and blah, 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 blah. And then I just continuously, gently and compassionately bring my focus back to feel the feet on the pedals, the beautiful brisk air on my skin. And I'm present for 4 seconds, and I'm woof, and then I just gently bring me back and I enjoy a couple of seconds, and then off, poof, and just and that's the training, to continuously bring us back again and again and again and again. So if your mind wanders 2,000 times, just gently bring it back 2,000 times. That's the training. And we think that sometimes when the mind wanders, that's a failure. It's not. It's the bringing back that it's all about. Great, thank you. You remember a lot. I'm impressed. So what's happening now? The computer is kidding with me. There it is, yeah. So this is just from what we did. This is what we did last time. And you covered it all. Just a little thing I came to think of I was going in the elevator with Lisa, and she talked about like how musicians, and you remember the numbers 147. So if it's really important to not think about 147, we need to think about 147 to check that we're not thinking about it. So like if we're actually actively trying to avoid something, it will probably bring us to it, so it sort of backfires. And just another example from the musician world, I was like by accident ending up coaching professional classical musicians at a conservatoire in Birmingham, and they really they have a really interesting system there, because you study music for 4 years full time, like really intensive. And then after 4 years, you will give a performance that is half an hour in front of a room with this many professors and probably 300 or 400 people. And in this half an hour, you will be graded, you will get the grades for the whole 4 years, dependent on that. And feel no pressure. It's just your future career that depends on those 30 minutes. And it is really, really difficult music. And you should know it. You should have it all in your head. You can't have the notes. It's like just crazy. And anecdotally, I would say that people handle this in 2 different ways. There are 2 categories, if I am to generalize. And it's one that do everything they can to avoid the arousal that will be there, and they take beta blockers or other kind of medication and have distraction techniques. And usually I would say that those people also numb themselves to some extent, so they're not fully present there, connecting with the audience, connecting with the music. So the music comes out a little bit flat, but sometimes quite accurate. And there's this other group of musicians that sort of acknowledge the arousal and sort of surf this wave of arousal and make it into connecting with the music, with the audience, and get into the playing. But this is really like this part, it sounds like simple, but a lot of them have had really bad experiences in the past where they've actually been stressed. So we talked about natural pain and what we put on it, and here I sometimes talk about like natural arousal. If you are to walk into this setting with 200 people in the audience, your professors, and you know you will get the grades, there will be arousal. Natural arousal. And then if you start fighting that, I don't want this because I know I had this 3 weeks ago and I went up on stage and it all got blank and I had to walk out of stage and this can't happen now. So this is like really alarm, alarm, alarm. Your thinking starts, poof, that puts the fight, flight, sympathicus response in more, boom, 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 boom. So you have those experiences that you also need to make room for in the here and now, if you are to be open to your emotions and what's happening here and now, to be able to give a nice performance. So that's like another example of like how, because if I'm struggling, no, I don't want this, I can't have it. Usually what sometimes happens is it just escalates and you get so much stress so you actually forget the music piece and the notes and stuff like that. Maybe that was a sidetrack, but I thought of just something I came to think of. So, how much have you practiced? So these were the things that we talked about 2 weeks ago. And remember, you were a really good group in taking down what you had actually planned, because you remember I asked a couple of you what you had planned for different things. So we're going to go through and I'm going to have you report how it went, and you're going to give yourself points. And so we said that mindfulness, do the longer exercises, exercise 1 30 minutes or exercise 2 15 minutes, at least 4 times a week. So if you have done it 4 times a week and it has been 2 weeks, means 4 times 2, 8 points. So have you done it 8 times during those last 2 weeks? Give yourself 8 points. And we said choose something you do every day and try to be extremely mindful. I think you were going to brush your teeth, is that so? Wash hands, yeah. Just brush teeth, there it was, yeah, great. And same here. So here it's not how many times you have done it, but sort of 5 points if you have done it 5 days a week, 4 points if you have done it 4 days a week. Acceptance. So you remember we talked about the quicksand, what happens if you get stuck in quicksand, to do the opposite as what your mind tells you. And same here, when difficult thoughts and emotions turn up, do the opposite, just yes, give it to me, and just create full contact with this yucky content and just be with it. Or sometimes, no, I don't want this, and just try to do everything you can to distract yourself, get rid of it, to do those kind of experiments. So have you done this 2 times a week? You get 2 points per week, and 2 weeks, so 4 points. Change. Is there something you would like to change? Like when it comes to workload, getting a perspective of your life, relations. Decide yourself. If you have done big changes, give yourself 4 points. 0 changes, 0 points, and in between. And exercise. So, Jeannie, you are going to cross-train. So, if you have been training 2 times a week, give yourself 2 times per week, 2 weeks equaling 4 points. Do you follow how to give yourself points? And before we do this, or actually, just jot down what you have done, and then we're going to do an exercise before I have you report it back. So just take 3 minutes and write down what you have done. Okay, so that was 5 minutes, and now you have all summed up what you have done.